The phrase Christianity isn't a religion, it's a relationship is probably one you've heard before. In fact, you might even personally hold to it. This saying is a perfect example that most Christians are quick to adopt neat sayings and trendy movements within Christianity, but they aren't quick to examine everything under the light of God's word. James 1:26-27 says, "If anyone thinks himself to be religious and yet does not bridle his tongue, but deceives his own heart, this man's religion is worthless. Pure and undefiled religion in the sight of our God and Father is this, to visit orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself unstained from the world." In these two verses, James doesn't condemn the concept of religion itself. He condemns false, empty religion with no power behind it. Right before these two verses, James just finished teaching the importance of not merely hearing the word, but also doing it. He compares somebody that only hears the word to a man that looks at himself in the mirror and goes away and forgets what he looks like. But then he says that the one who looks intently at the perfect law and abides by it, this man will be blessed in whatever he does. 14 verses later, James moves on to press the point that a faith that doesn't produce works is a dead faith. That kind of faith is dead, empty, false, and it can't save anyone. Just like a religion that doesn't produce a love for others or a desire to keep yourself unstained from the world is not a true, pure, and undefiled religion in the sight of God. So actual pure religion is a good thing, and it's what God calls from us. Let's go deeper and break down these two evidences into their basic concepts. Caring for orphans and widows in their distress is a very pure act of loving others selflessly. Keeping yourself unstained from the world is not primarily an act of self-love or a love for others, so who else would it be motivated for? It's primarily an act of love towards God. So here we see that the two evidences of true religion in James 1 are actually just a repeat of the two greatest commandments as given by Jesus. "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?" Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments." So here we see that the two greatest commandments in the Bible, love God, love people, are actually the two main evidences of pure religion. I understand what the Christianity isn't a religion, it's a relationship saying is trying to do. It's trying to boil away the legalism that a non-Christian might associate with Christianity and highlight the main focus of what Christianity is supposed to be, a relationship with Jesus. This is helpful because we do need to remove and cast off that legalistic mindset that a lot of non-Christians falsely associate with Christianity. All the different rules of Christianity can only be followed out of a relationship with Jesus. You don't enforce that beforehand. And you really need to emphasize with a non-Christian that following those rules doesn't save you. It's trusting in Jesus' perfect sacrifice and believing in him and making him Lord of your life. That's what actually brings you into that relationship. But James is very clear, 14 verses after James 1:27, that you demonstrate the validity of your saving faith by works. A faith that doesn't have works is not a saving faith. So in that sense, you are saved by works, not that the works themselves save you, but they prove that you do have saving faith. A Christian needs works to prove their faith in the same sense that a good fruit tree needs to bear good fruit to prove that it is indeed a good fruit tree. If you've been a Christian for a while and you don't understand that, you're still a baby believer. You're still on the baby's milk. You need to get off of the baby's milk and move towards actually eating meaty, practical theology. So if you're witnessing to a non-believer and they're not really in the place where they can understand the importance of works that James talks about in James 2, then it's probably fine to say Christianity is more about a relationship than it is about a religion. But you need to move them beyond that when you actually start discipling them. And you yourself need to move past just being satisfied with understanding Ephesians 2:8-9, and you need to move forward to actually living out verse 10. If you want to move beyond simply understanding the importance of a relationship with Jesus and actually move towards further building that relationship, then you need to take part in what is pure and undefiled religion in God's sight, sacrificially loving people and abstaining from the sinful patterns of the world.